Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, Monkey Wrench. I'm Kelly, the monkey with the wrench. Sorry I haven't been putting up videos on the regular lately. I've been building my new home, taking care of my customers, working on machines, doing all that kind of good stuff. I'll be posting some videos on the build in there, not a how-to, but what I've done, and give you guys an update on what's going on so far. But season's started already. I've been out cutting grass all morning. And I got a bunch of machines here that need to be fixed, stuff that I've found, stuff that people have left on their curb. And I've got a jet ski that's going to be here the next couple hours. So we're going to be doing a series of jet ski videos. I have no idea what's going on with that or what's wrong with it. So this particular machine that we're going to be working on today is called a Cocker Spaniel. And his name's Peanut. Hey buddy. Hey buddy. Come here, say hi. Come here, say hi. This is a Boland's with a Briggs on it that was left on the curb in my neighborhood. Oh, it's been sitting here for probably about a month. There's some string up here, which I have no idea why it's there. The cable, this is the bail cable, it's kind of bent. It's kind of old, but it's still working, so I'm not going to be messing with that unless it's not pulling it enough to give it spark back, which we'll find out. It's pretty clean looking, actually. It does have fuel in it. I did not touch this thing, but it's got fuel in there, so we're going to have to deal with that. That fuel does not smell very good. It is missing the carburetor cover, which is pretty common on these things. In fact, I just looked yesterday. I had to order some for another customer, and I bought a 2-pack with filters and primer bulbs, and it was, I think, 10 bucks for 2 covers, 2 primer bulbs, and 2 filters. Now I have tons of filters, so I've already taken a new one and trimmed it. It's windy today, so I had to put something on it so it wouldn't fly away. But other than that, I haven't done anything to this. I did notice that the front wheels are, of course, crooked. That's pretty standard on these. These decks are, they're kind of pressed out of a solid piece of real thin metal. And, you know, they just get bent. So we'll try and straighten those out the best you can. Sometimes the wheels get worn out. The wheels on this look in decent shape. So I'm guessing that somebody stood on it, or who knows how they get bent. But they got bent, so we're going to see if we can persuade them sort of back to straight. It is not worth buying new wheels for something like this that's only going to sell, if you're lucky, for 40, 45 bucks. But it was free. I have no idea what the situation is. If you've watched my channel for a while, though, you know it has my favorite carburetor on it, the plastic ones. And I love working on those. They're real easy. And I don't know, let's deal with the wind here. And let's just do what I do. You know, I don't spend time checking for spark and compression and all that crap. I do it the easy way, because it only takes a minute. And then you know if you have spark and compression. So I take a little bit of carb spray, dribble a little gas in there, whatever you want. Let's give it a couple of pulls and see if she'll bark. Alright, now we know she's got spark and she's got compression, and she will run. When you spray carb spray in there like that, and you know it has gas in it, what you're doing is priming the carburetor. And with the gas in it, if the gas was good and the carburetor was clean, it would have stayed running at that point. So this tells me it's got a fuel delivery problem. It tells me it has a dirty carburetor. It also tells me that even though my bail cable seems to be a little bit stretched, that it's still in good shape. So all I'm going to do is pull this thing apart, pull the carburetor, clean it, put it back on, and see if we're back in businesses. That last piece of footage should have been sped up for time. There's only 4 bolts that hold the carburetor on. And you saw how I took it off. Now I'm just taking off the fuel line. And that allows me to be able to get rid of that extra gas, the old stuff, and see. And longtime viewers of the channel might notice that I got a new impact driver finally, which is nice. I don't splurge on myself, and I wouldn't call Craftsman a splurge, but this thing was on sale, and I have a Craftsman electric blower. So for less than $100 I got the new impact driver and 2 more batteries and a charger, which also fit my electric blower, which I use to cut lawns and make extra money. So it was worth it. I've been using the crap out of it to build my new house. I have no complaints at all. When you're taking this thing apart, be sure that you don't put it on something that will break when you pull it apart. I'm just looking, I don't see any. The gas doesn't smell great, but I don't see any water in there. I don't see any dirt to speak of. The carburetor looks pretty clean. I know what I'm missing. Let me grab it. That's the tip for my carb cleaner. And through the magic of editing, I emptied the old fuel out, checked it for water. There was a little bit of water in there. It didn't smell great. So I got that cleaned out, got the tip for my carburetor spray. Now these carburetors are my favorite because they're so easy to deal with. And as long as you don't force it and break something off of it, you're probably okay. Now I'm going to check and make sure that there's no clogs on the intake. When your carburetor is in this position with the bowl underneath, when the bowl fills up like your toilet, it pushes this up, and that pushes your needle up and cuts off the fuel. So when I turn it upside down like this in the down position, I should be able to blow through here freely, and while I'm blowing, if I push that up, it should stop the air I'm blowing. And that's all I'm checking for. And we're good, we're clear there. So I don't need to take out the needle and seat. I'm probably going to do that anyway though, just to get it out of the way, because I got to pop these jets out. These carburetors are real simple, and in the last week or two I have actually gotten a bunch of comments from people that have watched other videos and thanked me for taking the time to show them how to clean the carburetor. The needle fell out, which it always does. You stick it back up in there and it just hangs in place, so don't lose those parts and pieces. I've also been asked in comments, why do you show the cleaning every time you do a carburetor? Because you never know what new video is going to bring me a new subscriber, a particular machine, and they may not have seen my other videos, so they don't know how to clean this particular carburetor. So yes, I do take the time to show it. Now I use my thumb as a base to put the screwdriver on, because if you try and do it from down here, you could break this. These carburetors are now $60 a piece. I'm not breaking it. I'd rather hurt my thumb a little bit and get it out evenly. So I use my thumb as a lever point so I don't break anything. Now the jets come out. Now when you put those jets back in, they only go in one way. If you have them the wrong way, it won't go down all the way. All you have to do is turn it back around and it fits right in. So all I'm going to do now is take my screwdriver right here where this piece meets the base. I'm going to stick this here and I'm going to twist it just a little bit. Again, don't break it. These carburetors are expensive. If you find machines on the side of the road, grab them if you're working on this stuff, because you never know when you're going to need it for yourself. So I'm just putting that in there and twisting. Don't twist too hard. Don't put too much leverage on it. You see it, how it came apart there? So now I'm going to grab here and I'm going to twist both pieces while I pull it apart. And now it's apart. These are the jets that I'm concerned about. You can look at that in the sun. Those are clean and clear. This carburetor looks like it was in good shape. So I'm just going to spray it out here a little bit. But my guess is that the fuel was no good, because I don't see anything in here that's clogged or blocked or gummy or anything like that, which means that the fuel probably just had water in it. It wasn't any good. And here in Florida, we get a lot of condensation. And you don't think so, but when this thing is sitting in your garage or your backyard, and it gets hot and then it gets cold, you get condensation just like when you pull a soda out of the refrigerator. You get condensation on the inside of the tank. It just grabs the natural moisture out of the air, condenses it on the inside of the tank, and then it runs down to the bottom and gets everything messed up. So when you put this back on, you're going to take this main cover. It covers your main jets here, and it goes on the flat wide part over here. And again, be sure you don't put too much pressure on it. Twist it while you're bringing it down, because if you snap that off, this carburetor's no good. Once you get it far enough, you can give it that last little bit and it clips in place and we're good. So everything on this looks fine. That's the whole carburetor. I'm going to give these three in the center a little spray real quick. That one's clear. That one's fine. That one's draining. I'm going to hit any hole you see. Just spray through it. And that's the whole carburetor. So again, when you drop that in, it should seat itself. That it did not, so I have it the wrong way. Now I seat it. Now I use my fingers under here and I use my thumbs and I just click that in place and it just pushes all the way down. That's it. Now I got my needle and seat. Make sure your needle's in. This particular one, you can leave your pivot pin there, feed that needle right back into its hole, and your pivot pin just clicks in place. It has an open top. So use your thumb, again gently, click it in, make sure it's clicked in on both sides and centered. Check again that it cuts off. And we should be good to go. The only thing on the outside here is this air breather, and I find rarely that that's an issue. It's got a single linkage on top. That should be easy. It's moving the butterfly just like it's supposed to, so I think we're all set. When you put this on, line up your screws. It doesn't matter which direction you put it on, but make sure when you start it, it's flat. Don't use the screws. I've seen people push it that far and then use the screws to pull it in and break the carburetor. Again, don't do that. It's got an O-ring in there that seals everything. Make sure that it's nice and flat, and then clip it, push it into place. You might have to work it back and forth. I'm going to try turning it around just to see if it'll fit better. Yeah, it did fit better that way. So instead of forcing it and breaking it, try swapping it around until you find that it goes in. Now it's clear, it's almost completely closed. So now I can put these together. Use a ratchet, a wrench. Don't do like me, don't use your impact driver. But I do hundreds of these every week. I know how to stop the impact driver from moving the second I hear that first click, so I know I'm not going to break that $60 carburetor. But other than that, it should be fine. So now that this is completely empty, I'm going to put this whole thing back together. The tank itself looks fine, We're going to put some gas in it, and we're going to see if she'll start and run this time. Let's see if I can speed that up for you. We're just going to put a little bit of fuel in it. Make sure you check your oil. I have not. I will be changing the oil on this if it needs to and sharpening the blade. But for right now, just worrying about seeing if it starts. Remember, I found this in the trash, so far there's nothing into it. Let's prime it. Let's just see if she'll start up. Okay, the primer might not be any good, so let's prime it manually. Instead of it starting and dying, it should stay running if the carburetor is clean. Ooh. Sometimes you gotta take the carburetor apart twice. There's not much inside of there. But the smallest little thing can clog something up. Let's find out. Yep, I gotta take it apart again. I'll spare you that. I'll pull it apart, put it back together, I'll be back with you. Alright, now, most people may cut that out, and I actually considered cutting it out because you saw how to clean the carburetor, and I figured why tell that I had to pull it back apart and clean it again. And sure as shit, I pulled it apart and I found a little piece on the white set of jets, the triple jets in the center. The plastic had actually gotten messed up and was clogging a hole. So I scraped that out, gave it a once over again. This time I used my handy dandy welding tip cleaner set that I've had for like 5 years, $3 at Harbor Freight. And now we got everything back together. Let's prime it and let's see if she'll start and run. I can hear the primer now sucking. Let's see. That sounds pretty good actually. The weird grinding noise that you might hear is, even though I'm on a flat surface, these 3 wheels are sort of touching the ground and wobbling, and this 4th one isn't touching at all. So it's vibrating while this thing's running. I went ahead and cocked it and put the pressure on this wheel, and that wheel lifted up. So the entire mower deck is slightly warped, which is fine. On this side of it, it's actually bulged out, pushed out. But the machine's working fine. Remember, I found this on the curb in front of somebody's house. and they threw it away because it had a dirty carburetor. And 9 times out of 10, it's a dirty carburetor, a broken spark plug, or a broken bail cable. And instead of having it fixed or trying to fix it themselves, they just throw it away. The only thing I'm going to do to this now is try to straighten out these wheels a little bit. So if you don't want to hang around for that, thanks for watching. In the last 30 days, I've gotten over 400 subscribers. I'm averaging 25 to 40 subscribers a day. So thank you all very much. Hit the subscribe button on your way out the door. Hit the like button. It's somewhere between my chin and my balls. And we'll see you on the next one. And if you want to watch me straighten out the wheels, that's what I'm going to do now. Now I apologize in advance if I'm in the way. It's hard for you to see, but the deck on this is actually bent. When these axles get worn out, there's not a whole lot you can do. I used to carry spare parts at the old shop. I had boxes and boxes, and I could sometimes find better wheels with better sleeves inside, but I don't have those anymore since I had to move. I'm very happy at my new place, by the way. But in this case right here, this is bent. It's almost touching that wheel. So I'm going to straighten that out a little bit. This is just light metal. So usually, if you got a little bit of strength to you, you can straighten it out with a pair of channel locks, and you wouldn't even have to take off the wheel. So hopefully that will straighten out the problem, at least a large majority of it. You might have to use a hammer. You might have to take the wheel off. It's just bolted through. You might have to take the wheel off so that you can persuade it with a hammer. But in this case, I think we got most of it out. And again, this machine is, you know, it's a $40 machine. And in today's marketplace, you may not even be able to get that. So straightening out those any more than they already are is going to mean getting new wheels, which I'm not going to do. Now that's a whole lot straighter than it was. The camera fell. Thankfully it didn't break. It's windy out here and it blew the tripod over. So hopefully that's better than it was. I know that. And there's not much more I can do with it. It's a $40 machine. But it was found on the side of the road. So all I'm going to do now is check the oil. Make sure that the oil level is good. While it was up on its side, I leaked a little bit out right there. So I'm going to check that. Other than that, there's not much else to do to this little guy. The blade underneath looks good. I'll throw a quick sharpen on that. And probably put it up for sale for 40 bucks. Let somebody come take it and give it new life. Thanks for stopping by.